Hello and welcome to the Allplane Podcast, where we talk about aviation in the company of those expert professionals that are working day and night to define the future of this industry. But first of all, let me repeat my usual reminder and my invitation as well to visit our website, Allplane.tv. That is Allplane.tv for more podcast episodes and aviation stories. In today's episode, we host a true pioneer of electric aviation. Ivo Boscarol has been in aviation for over 3 decades. He started building and flying gliders in Slovenia when that country was still part of Yugoslavia. And he then went on to build light aircraft under the Pipistrel brand, a name that, in case you didn't know it, is an adaptation of the Italian word pipistrello, which means bat. Pipistrel has become a sort of household name in light aviation, but perhaps more interestingly, a few years ago, and well before it was fashionable, it decided to make a big push into electric aviation. And today, Pipistrel is one of the world's leading producers of electric planes. Quite remarkably, for a family-owned company, Pipistrel is involved in all stages of the aircraft production and development process, from its design to its final manufacture and distribution. Pipistrel aircraft have also set several records in the field of electric power flight, and earlier this year, one of its aircraft, the Pipistrel Velis, became the first all-electric airplane to get type certification. With the aviation industry looking desperately for ways to decarbonize, Pipistrel's technology is in high demand, and this coming year, 2021, the expectation is to double production, as well as to advance in a number of other projects that include a hydrogen-powered airplane, a VTOL concept, as well as a large new factory in China. It is hard not to feel enthusiastic about the future of green aviation when talking with Ivo Boscarol. So, best is that I shut up for now and I welcome him to the show. Hello, Ivo. How are you?
I'm fine. In this challenging time, I must say that we are fine. We are closing the year better than last year, so we are continuing our tradition that every year is better than the previous, so I cannot complain.
Glad to know. Actually, you are in a segment of the aviation industry that it's a bright spot. You are the founder and the CEO of Pipistrel, which is the leading or one of the leading companies in the field of electric aircraft manufacturing. I'm very excited to have you here today because, I've got many questions for you. And I would start by asking you to explain a little bit the background of Pipistrel and how you started, because I read that you started when Slovenia was still part of Yugoslavia and you were doing gliders. And then you moved on to light aircraft, conventionally powered aircraft. And then the last few years, you've been focusing a lot on electric.
Well, yes, I started 31 years ago. Before this, I was a glider pilot, but in the 80s, then, so-called trikes and hang gliders came up, and as I'm living here in one valley, where we have a very nice conditions for soaring. In former Yugoslavia, was not easy to become a pilot if you was not supposed to be a military pilot. I made the glider license, yes, but then later to be a let's say powered aircraft pilot was not so easy. And when we have seen this trend that it is possible to install to a hang glider a kind of trike with a small modified car engine, and you can take off from let's say a field, not anymore necessary to go on the hills to jump down. We started a kind of new way of flying with some friends from France, some friends from Hungary, Britain. At that time, we called this new type of flying, which was of course illegal because it was not certification, no base to build this, and also no licenses. We start a new type of flying, which we called at that time alternative flight. Later, we have changed the name to ultralight or microlight flight. So I'm one of the founder of this category of the aircraft, which we made later also legal, and now in some part of the world is really legal category of flying. But at that time in former Yugoslavia, of course, was not possible to fly. And we were flying only in the evening, in the dark, when, let's say, the airport, which I have almost in front of my door, was closed, and the director said, "You can kill yourself with this crazy machine, but I will not be responsible. So you are allowed to fly only when I close the hangar doors." And in the evening sky, the shape of this Rogalo wing was very close, very similar to a bird bed,
Yeah.
And so local people start calling me or talking that these bats from Ivo are flying again,
Mm-hmm.
And when I have seen a kind of market potential to produce this, I said Yugoslavia will be too small market. I must export, and the closest country was Italy at that time. And the bat in Italian language is Pipistrello, and in Latinium is Pipistrellus. So I cut it a little bit, I called it Pipistrel, not to be, let's say, really connected to the bird. And actually, this was one of my greatest ideas, because at that time was no Wikipedia, no Google. And if you type now on Google Pipistrel, you find only few millions of hits of Pipistrel and nothing else anymore, almost.
Brilliant. That was a brilliant move. And definitely Slovenia, a great place for outdoor activities. So no wonder you were active.
Slovenia, imagine that Slovenia is almost 70% covered by forest. It's one of the greenest countries. And that's why also flight, especially gliding, it's very popular. Also paragliding. Then later I was first producing trikes. Later I moved to producing gliders, and I was the first one who offered the glider and motor glider in ultralight category, in composite material, because until that time microlights were made in tubes, and in aluminium. This was actually a big step towards very clean aviation, because gliders don't need a lot of fuel, a lot of energy. They are not producing a lot of noise, and this was always my goal, and the strategy, the vision. I always said to my workers, we must keep the atmosphere as it is. We must design the aircraft which burn less fuel than the others, produce less noise than the others. And nowadays, we can fly with 300 liters. We can move two people 5,000 kilometers far, from Chile to Easter Islands, over the Pacific. We can go on 11,000 meters. Our aircraft with 300 liters can remain in the air 40 hours. So they are very, very efficient. And because they are very efficient, I started almost 20 years ago to think about make them electric, to cut really the noise and to cut the footprint, the emissions. And nowadays everybody is talking about electric aviation, but we are producing aircraft since 2007. So nobody has so long and so big experience in the market as we have. Nobody has produced more than 200 electric aircraft. Or now we are approaching 300, and this experience then also made us, let's say, gave us this knowledge how to type certify.
You were the first ones to be certified for an all-electric aircraft, am I right?
Yes, this happened this year in June. A lot of big, let's say, brothers claimed that they will type certify the electric aircraft. You will remember when Airbus flew over the channel, they said 5 years ago, they said in 2 years they will type certify the aircraft. Siemens claimed that they will type certify the electric engine. Nobody succeeded. We were the first one, And nowadays it's maybe strange, but if you see the real milestones in electric propulsion, you will see only 3 milestones. The first type certified piston engine aircraft was in 1927. Then, from 1927 to 1953, when the first jet jet engine type certified aircraft was no milestone. And from 1953 to 2020, when the first electric type certified aircraft was on the market, it is a very, very long period without any real milestone in aviation, and nobody believed that it is possible. But now we proved that the electric propulsion is safe because it's type certified. It's the same safety as piston engine, and it can be used for commercial. And this is opening now the Pandora box, and the way towards commercial aviation, because without type certificate you cannot do anything. It's hobby program. But now, yes, with electric aircraft you can not dream anymore, but commercial aircraft, commercial aviation is reality now.
Mm-hmm. Indeed, I've been seeing right now lots of interest, increasingly every month, and I think this year has been very pivotal in that. Also, hydrogen now is starting to be a thing, but still electric, it's getting lots of attention, and you of course have a big name there. Actually, I had the chance to speak with these guys from Switzerland and Germany that used one of your aircraft earlier this year at the end of the summer to do the longest flight so far in an electric aircraft. It was a Pipistrel Velis. It achieved different records, different milestones during that flight. So I'm gonna post a link as well to that podcast I did a few weeks ago. It was very interesting to learn about this technology. But I wanted to ask you about this transition to electric propulsion. How do you see this technology going from here? Until now, it's been mostly in small aircraft. You are a big specialist in light aircraft. How do you see this technology scaling towards larger planes?
Yeah, first of all, regarding these world records, in this moment, it's very easy to make world records because it's only one aircraft on the market you can do world records, type certified, if you like to do it with this. Otherwise, with non-type certified, in 2011, we won the NASA challenge with 4-seat fully electric aircraft which flew 600 kilometers far without landing, carrying 4 passengers and average speed of 210 kilometers per hour.
Okay, where was that?
This was in 2011. And pay attention, nowadays, in 2000, the complete worldwide industry, with all the money they have, car industry, they are still not able to offer an electric car which can carry 4 persons 600 kilometers far with 210 kilometers per hour. And we did this in 2011, pay attention. Yes, in aviation, second your question, in aviation, it's logic that you go from small to bigger. In some other industries is opposite, computers were in the beginning very big and then they went to very small, also like cell phone, But making the steps in aviation, it's much easier to learn on small cases. And having the type certified electric aircraft with all the standards, with all the tests, all set, it's much easier to increase or to multiply to 4-seat or 19-seat later, to use the technology which is proven with less money and in the more controlled way. And of course, you must first start walking, then later you run. And that's exactly what we are doing. We are also very much involved in hydrogen because we are aware that in this moment, the energy density of the batteries is, of course, not allowing the flights over the Atlantic. We must use, in this intermediate time, we must use a kind of hybrid if we like to go in more passenger and longer distances commercial flights. Hydrogen is a good combination because it is light, it is very cheap. One kilo of hydrogen costs about $6-7. It is very easy to produce locally, so you don't depend anymore from Middle East countries or some. Electricity and hydrogen can be produced almost everywhere. That's the biggest advantage. And as we know much more in the last years regarding the distributed propulsion, the small engines, small blocks, can be multiplied in the wing or in different parts of the aircraft, that you can increase then the number of passengers. This is a very interesting concept, and hydrogen can be easier stored to big airports or to the airports than every 15 kilometers near highways, because it's demanding the storage of the hydrogen. So for aviation, hydrogen is fantastic energetic solution. And you probably read somewhere that in the beginning of December, now a few weeks ago, under the project MAHEPA, we flew the 4-seat hydrogen aircraft in Maribor to prove all these technologies again, because 4 years ago we already, with some German partners, we did this in Stuttgart. But now the technology is much more advanced, and it is very mature and ready to be installed and used in 19-seat, what we are developing.
Mm-hmm. Yes, actually, I wanted to ask you about this program, the MAHEPA project. This, if I understood correctly, is a sort of a consortium or some sort of international program where different companies are joining efforts to test these technologies, right? What else can you tell me about this program?
Correct. If you go on mahipa.eu, you will learn who the partners are. We are the leaders of consortium, and we are evaluating hybrid propulsions. One is hydrogen, and the other one is just piston engine propulsion, which will fly in a few months also in our 4-seat Pantera. Like a range extender. So different propulsions, different concepts are evaluated under this program. The program is co-financed by European Commission, and it will end next year. But we are involved also in some other programs. But of course, we are investing a lot of our money to, let's say, to develop the correct aircraft concept, which is suitable, and of course the propulsions which are suitable for tomorrow's emission-free aviation. Mm-hmm. You know that hydrogen fuel cell technology is the cleanest propulsion possible, because you carry the hydrogen with you in the aircraft, you take the oxygen from the atmosphere, and during the process you produce the electricity to, let's say, you need for electric propulsion, and the only emission is clean water. Cleaner you cannot have it. It's not only, let's say, a process you can claim that it is clean without emission, like on battery electric aircraft, because the batteries are produced maybe in a way that they need more electricity, or they can be the electricity is produced from column or some other energens. Here you produce the energy from very clean ingredients, and there are really no emission, because water disappears in the air and you have no emissions, and this is the correct way to go forward.
Mm-hmm. So you are working in parallel with different paths. You're a family-owned company, right?
Well, yes, Pipistrel is a group of companies. We have 2 companies in Slovenia. One is for logistic maintenance and prototyping. One is for research and development. We are EASA design approval organization and production approval and maintenance organization. So we have 2 companies in Slovenia. Then we have a production in Italy. And we are starting now a big project in China with our own airport production facility of Pantera Hybrid and Velis Electro or Alpha Electro for China and 11 neighbor countries. And we are making also a small village and shopping center. So it's a kind of, let's say, small city for pilots. 135 hectares. It's really nice project close to Nanjing. The city is called Jurong, and if would not be this corona this year, I believe the airport would be ready. Now I believe we'll have 1 year of delay. But yes, we believe that China, especially now with this agreement with other countries, is the biggest market potential in the world, and it's simply not possible not to focus on such a big market.
And do you have a local Chinese partner to develop?
I'm 51% owner of this company, and the local partner is 49%, yes. But otherwise, all the other companies are family owned by me and my daughter. And yeah, in some companies, my key personnel engineers has a small share also in the company to motivate them.
Yeah, it's very impressive that a family-owned company has such an important presence in such a highly technological, sophisticated industry. And
yeah, until now we were able to finance our development from our production, because we control the complete segment. From the first idea, engineering, design, certification, and production, and we have our own market and distributors all over the world. We are selling 97 countries. We are producing 1 aircraft per working day. But for aviation is one of the most expensive developments. So especially now for the VTOLs and the 19-seat, I'm quite sure we will do some partnerships, or let's say we will partner with somebody to be able to speed up the processes, because with 19-seat we would like to be in the air with the prototype in 2028, so the time is short, and probably some investors will be welcome. Yes, that's for sure.
Interesting. Yeah, actually, I was about to ask you about this, how many steps you were involved in, but you just answered it for me. I was curious to learn whether the design, this very sleek, very very smart design that you have on your aircraft was also yours, or you had
well, I in the beginning, yes, of course, in the beginning, I was one single man business, and then I started to grow. But of course, now I have 94 engineers, very strong for such company.
Yes, but in-house
engineers.
But it's in-house, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 94 scientists, engineers, and developers, which are all, let's say, motivated to change the aviation and to keep the atmosphere as it is. And they are from all over the world. They are coming from Chile, from Japan, from Norway, from everywhere here, young people. Most of my team is around 30. So they are all thinking out of the box. We have some seniors, of course, to offer them also the experience. But otherwise, we are very, let's say, open to new ideas. We are also very social-oriented company. We start working in the morning, but we stop working at 3 p.m. because I like that my workers have something from their private life also. They go to their families, to their friends, and next day they come again fresh to the work. So we don't work Saturdays, we don't work extra hours, and this has a positive impact also on innovativity, development, and ideas.
That's interesting. I guess there are quite a few engineers or people working professionally in this area that would like to know how can they join these very exciting projects.
Oh, we have almost continuously on our webpage job posts. So they need only to follow our webpage. In this moment, I believe we have out or we just closed, or it's still open job posting for 8 or 9 engineers from different fields, electronics, flight controls, safety, different fields.
So that's Pipistrel dash aircraft.com.
Yeah, or just pipistrel.si.
Okay,
also.
SI for Slovenia is the country
yeah.
domain. So you mentioned you have plans to develop a VTOL aircraft, a 19-seat aircraft. Then you also have at the moment, you have the Velis is the recently certified one, right? It's a 2-seater.
So we are producing 2 and 4-seat aircraft at the moment, fuel-powered, electric-powered, motor gliders also. I can tell you that we are closing 2020 with more orders for electric aircraft than for fuel-powered aircraft. But you must know that we are the only company in the world producing 3 different types of electric aircraft: the motor glider, the Taurus Electro, then the non-type certified electric aircraft, which is Alpha Electro. This is in production since 2014, and now the Velis Electro. We are just these days announcing a partnership with one company who will offer the lease to the schools and the clubs. The initial order is 50 units. I believe the next year we will produce about 200 electric aircraft, and maybe only about 70 fuel-powered aircraft. So it's changing rapidly in this trend of 2-seat aircraft, because in this moment this is a reality. I must live from this. Projects are different. You know that we were selected by Uber to develop their flying taxi. There were 5 companies selected, but when we have seen that the timing to deploy on the market in the way that you can really sell the aircraft or these VTOLs will be longer than it was estimated in the beginning, we parallelly switched to cargo VTOLs, and our Nuva, which is basically a sister of the flying taxi. It's now in the second half of development phase. Will be able to vertical takeoff, of course, and to carry 400 kilos, 300 kilometers far, and that's nothing similar on the market in this moment. It's much faster, because also if you use, let's say, this to go on the oil platform somewhere in the sea or over deserts, not populated areas, the rules are already now accepting something like this. Especially SORA program, also EASA, can allow such flights. On the other side, manned VTOLs are not in this moment. I don't see a real commercial use of this.
Because in terms of the economics, what's the sales pitch, and how long before the all-electric flight becomes mainstream for most of these applications, most of these use cases, like the training schools, for example, or general aviation? How does the all-electric compare to the traditional fossil fuel alternative in terms of cost? I don't know if there are other barriers at the moment preventing all these segments to go all electric. If it's just a matter of time, and all the new aircraft from now on are expected to be pretty much majority electric.
Well, we must be realistic. In this moment, electric flight is a perfect substitute for self-launch gliders. And it is completely quiet, and you can reach 3,000-4,000 meters with one charge, or 2-3 times a few hundred meters. That's reality. Second, training program. Normally, the lesson lists 40-45 minutes. With our Velis Electro, on which you can do PPL training officially. You can train a pilot for patterns, for example, 6, 7, 8 patterns you do. And then when you change the crew, you do briefing and debriefing. In 30, 40 minutes, you recharge the aircraft again and you go flying. And the cost of the energy is less than €1. And there is no noise. Imagine that in Europe, in France, Switzerland, Germany, then Switzerland, Austria, there are more than 100 airports where the training is not allowed anymore because of noise, especially not during the weekend. And who has time to go to learning to fly during the week? Nobody. So we're bringing back the flight close to the populated areas. And this is one of the biggest advantages of the electric aircraft. And clubs are accepting this penalty that they cannot do transition flight, they cannot do cross-country flight with the electric aircraft. But for this basic training, where the noise is the most important limiting factor, you are flying around the airport, this you can, let's say, change with the electric propulsion. And for cross-country aircraft flight, you still use a conventional piston engine. And we have this combination with Velis Electro and Velis, which is piston engine powered, and virtual reality simulator, which is a perfect, let's say, training tool up to the twin engine, with very much lower cost per hour, because cost per hour is important, not cost of the aircraft. Cost per hour because the maintenance is low, even considering the exchange of the batteries, comparing to the overhaul altogether, and the depreciation altogether, the aircraft is still cost per hour is still lower than on a piston engine aircraft. And you are completely quiet. If you don't see the aircraft in the air, you don't know that somebody is flying.
What about the infrastructure for recharging? I remember these German guys that did the flight across Germany. They were finding in many airports, we're having the issue that they are not prepared yet for this recharging. So they had to carry a sort of like a battery in the car and recharge it. I don't know up to which point all this infrastructure and also the technology to do the charging is going to become standardized in some way. So apologies if the question is stupid, but would one charger be useful for all types of aircraft? Is there some sort of industry standards that are being worked on so that to make it easier for aircraft to just do hops from one airport to the next and without having to worry about these sort of things?
Yeah, of course, we are involved in all of this, and we are fighting to offer the useful solutions as soon as possible. But the process is very similar that the car industry went through. The charger you can bring with you is the charger which offer you to recharge the aircraft, but you need more time. You cannot recharge it in 30 minutes or 1 hour. For this you can do with the charger. We also deliver with the aircraft, of course, but it is bigger. You can still put it on the second seat of the aircraft. But we are already working with the airports, general aviation airports, to install charging stations, which has different sockets also for the car. So if somebody is coming to fly with his electric car, he can charge on, let's say, our charging station also the car. The standards are, of course, an issue. You have a very good example that nowadays in 2020 there is still no standard for cell phones.
Yes, indeed.
So cell phones need different sockets. I hope this will not happen with the electric aircraft. I hope that EASA, FAA, and also some others will join the ideas and propose the protocol to be used Of course, if will be necessary to modify our aircraft, we will be the first one willing to do this. But I'm quite sure that before the common standards will be out, I'm quite sure we'll have already more than 1,000 aircraft around the world. And I hope the standards we have, which is really good and made in a way that it was accepted by EASA, so it is kind of certified standard, will be the one who will be used.
How many electric aircraft are there now in the world?
Well, if I say dozen of prototypes flying, and then there are motor gliders, or let's say self-flying gliders, which I don't count. And then it's Pipistrel with two models with powered aircraft, and Alpha Electro. And Velis Electro, we are closing the year, I believe, with 150 units on the market.
Already delivered, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. So from here to
next year will be another 200
in 1 year.
Yeah.
Or in total. So
no, in 1 year. Yeah,
wow.
yeah.
So it's gonna double.
20 per month.
So it's going to more than double the fleet in 1 year.
Yeah.
Wow.
I believe in next 5 years we will double every year the production.
Pretty impressive. Wow. Yeah. It's quite a lot. And then of course in parallel, of course there's the light aircraft we are mentioning, also the VTOLs, which if I understand your two prototypes that you mentioned, mainly for cargo, and they are unmanned, right? They are drones.
Well, for cargo are drones. That's true. But the passenger will be piloted in the beginning.
Okay. What's the name of the passenger one?
Its working name is 801.
Okay, so no name yet. And also working on the larger 19-seat aircraft, potentially in a much longer time frame before end of the decade, hopefully.
Yeah, we hope that in 2028 we will be in the air with the prototype.
Very, very interesting. Also, just to recap, this MAHEPA project, I'm going to post a link to the website so that everyone can check that's also an ongoing project. Wow, it's quite a lot of you've got quite a lot in your hands for being
my advantage is that hobby is business and business is hobby.
Mm-hmm. That's great.
And on the other side, I understand my mission like a duty, because I say that everybody who can contribute that the atmosphere will remain as it is must do it. Mm-hmm. If you see from the space our Earth, you will see a tiny blue belt around it. Mm-hmm. It's our atmosphere. Humans can survive months without the food, weeks without the water, but only a few minutes without the air.
Very beautiful, I think, to end this podcast here. Just want to thank you for your time today to help us understand a bit better all the work you are doing there at Pipistrel.
Thank you, Miguel. Yes, follow our webpage, follow the press releases. Next year will be very interesting year to follow us, mm-hmm. because some new informations will be published. But before this, I wish to everybody Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and a lot of remain in good health in this challenging time, that we will be able then to recover our general aviation and also all the aviation as soon as possible, but in more cleaner way.
Thank you very much. I think we all wish that to everyone listening us, and let's leave it here for now. Hopefully we'll have a chance to speak sometime in the future when all these interesting projects come to fruition. So thank you so much. And one more thing before you go. Remember, you can subscribe to the Allplane Podcast on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, on Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and many other platforms. If you like this podcast, please do not hesitate to give it a good rating or to recommend it to a friend. See you soon.